So take a look at that. All right, number one is I ask all the groups, 1 through 4, to do all 4 stocks. Yes?
If I could come up with the symbols for the 4 groups.
The symbols?
Yeah, I mean, how did you choose what?
Oh,
Which one?
I just went around the room.
These are the ones we have been, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah,
7.
we're just doing one.
That's first group, second group.
No, not the group. The actual stock.
All the stocks?
Oh.
Just went, just randomly. Just went randomly. So now we're going to put them all together and let you choose all 4 and look at those. I want to give you a lot of practice with that. Okay? And the next thing is, let's go back to balancing energy. Before we do anything, what's the first thing we do? If we're going to start balancing energy and start testing things, what do we do first? Protect yourself. Right. That's right. Protect yourself. Okay, put that sphere around because that can make a big difference in the answer that you get. And it may not always make a difference, but I guarantee you when you need it, you want to put it in place. Do you remember how to do that protection? Remember what to do?
Give yourself spirit permission.
Okay.
In gratitude.
Okay, that's getting us in here, but how do we form the sphere? What do we do first?
Visualize it.
Visualize, yes, good. What else do we do?
Expand it.
Expand it, okay. Then what do we do next?
Put ourselves in it.
Okay, put ourselves in it. Okay,
It needs to be clear.
but we have to, yes, how do we get clear? Keep going, how do we get clear?
Order out the bad guys.
Yes.
Okay, what do we do about the ordering out the bad guys?
I
Good,
just command them to leave the area.
okay, how many times?
Ooh, we've been doing it
Minimum of
once.
3.
3. Why it's 3, I'm not sure, but by the time I go to 3, they're clear. Okay, and I've seen that all too often, so 3 times for the clearing, okay? 3 times for the clearing, all right? And just command them to go, and you can tell them, you can go anywhere you want, okay? And so that's the first thing we do. We put the sphere up, then I'm going to ask you to follow through with your methods of projecting that energy and working our way through it. So let's take, I'll tell you what, we'll finish what we're going to go through here first, and we'll come back to this. Okay, then number 3. Okay, we're going to bring all the class members into your energetic circle daily. Okay, bring all of us into your field when you're doing this. Okay, now I don't care why you're doing it for yourself. I don't care what the reason is. But bring us in and give us permission to watch what you're doing.
Can we just visualize the room, or should we have a list of names?
Whatever you want. It's up to you. Whatever you want. Any other questions about that?
So you call everybody in and give them permission to walk.
Simple as that. Simple as that. What you can, okay, so what's your question? Seal, what's your question?
Well, I guess I wonder if we might get messages or.
You might. You might. And if you do, then what?
Well, I think you need to verify it as a truth.
Okay. All right. If we're in this protected sphere, and you're getting messages, and if you've done it right, like clearing 3 times, you can probably take it to the bank that those messages are going to be accurate.
Okay.
Now, if you don't put that sphere around, and you're getting messages,
Okay.
okay, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, yeah. But thank you. That's a good point. All right. Number 3, also, there's a lady who's been a member of our class for a long time, Virginia Butler. We have pictures that you can see, and I think Mary will have those on the email that she'll be able to pass out. You may have them, I'm not sure. Yes, that's Virginia Butler. She started, and she heard that too, thank you. She started with us over 10 years ago when John Webster and I started the first class. So from the first class on, she's been with us. But recently, she's gotten a little sick, and she's wheelchair bound right now. Now, she's in constant pain. So if you could bring her into your circle Okay? And anything you're doing, I don't care what it is, let her watch, but if you want to work on any of your pain issues, they don't have to be physical pain, they can be emotional pain issues also, bring her in. Okay? Her son also is David Butler. And this young man is, the way he's helping his mother and taking care of her, it's extraordinary. So he can use some help also. So her son is David Butler, if you would put him in there also. Okay? So just keep her in that circle.
Gary,
Yes.
so why bringing people into that circle
Okay.
versus just thinking about them or sending them angels outside of the circle?
Okay. All right, class, what's the answer? And that's a good question, Mark.
For protection?
More
Protection.
power, maybe?
More
More
power.
powerful?
Okay, anything
More
else?
energy?
To be part of that energetic field.
Okay, you're going in the right direction, Kim.
Learn to communicate with others through the spirit.
True, that's true.
Helping others.
And since they're in your circle, then they're leaving their stuff out, so they're more clear.
And that's true. All of what you said is true.
And they're stronger together, they're building up on each other.
That's it. That's it. Remember what we did in the past? Every time we made a statement, good job, PJ. Every time we made a statement, we put a circle around it as some type of closed geometric figure to focus that energy. Well, now we're taking our lives and we're putting it into a protected area, and now we're really focusing that energy. Now we're really sending it out. Now we're getting hundreds of times more effect than if we were just to send angels or just think about them randomly. Doesn't have nearly the same effect. That's why when you start doing this work, you've got to have the energy to do this work. The vitality, the stamina, and we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Barbara, did I answer your question?
You did, thank you.
Okay. All right, now for number 4, I want you to practice looking into the future. So one way of practicing is look at the number of mail pieces that you're going to get, letters or whatever you're going to get the next day. Okay, and start being serious about this. Predict it. Even weeks
Predict
ahead.
how many pieces we're going to get?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Including junk mail?
It's all part of the same thing.
Email.
Question.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna be traveling,
Uh-huh.
so is there something else, any ideas? We're not gonna see the mail pieces, we're gonna be out of town.
Okay.
Any ideas?
Any
Email,
ideas?
you have your phone, and our emails.
We don't wanna, we don't wanna
Wait a
look
minute.
at those.
Ginger?
Are you gonna be driving at all? Oh, you're not? Because I practice at the gas station, at the pump, to like how much it's gonna cost
Good idea.
when I get there.
Very good idea.
But if you're not driving that
Yeah.
over.
Well, you could still predict every day how many bills we're gonna get, how much junk mail, how many other, do it every day and then see at the end of the week how close you were, what actually you
The
did
total?
Good. Just the total. You could.
Or just the total.
ahead of time.
Sure.
Okay, are you gonna be flying? Okay, you can predict how long it's going to take you to get to different destinations if you're continuing to go to different destinations. You know, predict timing on things perhaps.
We'll just predict stuff somehow randomly, and just, thank you.
Okay.
But, yeah,
Ida?
It's this, you can do the same thing that we've been doing with the circles. Can you not? I'm saying, by going like, on such and such day, will I receive 10 or, 10 pieces of mail in my mailbox? And it's not that you can adjust, you can go down to different numbers. Is it less than 10 or more than between 10 and 20 or 3 and 5? You can do it that way. I mean, that is a way of process of scanning, I suppose.
Good.
So
That's
now
very
you
good.
predict what
Good.
time you're gonna go to bed that night. And what time is that? On the clock when you go. I didn't say, you can do what you wanna do, but I'm just saying.
Actually, it's a very good idea.
Because, before you go to sleep, whatever, you look at your clock. Whether that be your phone, I don't know if people wake up, but I actually have a clock, but anyway.
Suppose you do one last thing. Just imagine you could tell what time it is without having to look at a watch.
yeah,
Oh, I can do
that would be good. That would be
Yeah, you can start
fun,
trying to predict time.
yeah, that would be cool. Thank you, everybody.
Jack?
We're gonna have fun.
Okay. Say, who's in group 3? Could you raise your hands? Who's in group 3?
What number are we?
This is group 3.
We're group 3. I think
Can you predict which group you're in?
which group are we? I think we're 3. We are, right?
I think you're good because we were 2 right here.
Yeah, they're 2, we're 3.
Yeah. I'm going to add another person to your group. I've got a lady who's in Louisiana. Frances Rowe is her name. She is a member of Unity there. She's a patient of mine. She would love to get involved in this type of work. So she's been watching all the videos, and I want to connect her to one of you guys in group 3, so maybe you can call her and get her on board. She's already watched things. Alexia?
Okay, sure.
I'll give you her name, maybe you can call her.
Okay, sure.
Okay? All right, very good. We'll do that for you, okay? Please keep in touch with your groups. Please keep this energy moving. So keep the emails going, keep the calls going, do whatever you can during these next 2 weeks. It's very important, okay? And the final part is what I've always been saying. No matter what you decide to do with this, keep going. Keep going. I guarantee you, you're making progress. Now, with a show of hands, I'm curious, how many people believe that they've made amazing progress in just these 4 weeks from where they started? Show of hands, come on. I'm saying amazing. Good, I use the word amazing. How do I get started? How about progress? Progress. Good. Now to prove this. Sharon, have you come on? Have you come on? Okay, now I'm very proud of Sharon. You know why I'm proud of Sharon?
Why?
She came back, very good. Well, that night where she was adamant that she was having difficulty doing this type of work, if this is 0, and down here at Spirit is 100%, she was operating, Sharon, if you look straight ahead, she was operating right about there. That night she said she couldn't do it. Tonight, she's operating
Wow.
down there. Now, she
knows
thinks, I was going to say, she's thinking she's up here. But no matter whether she's thinking it or actually is down there, she's made a lot of progress to where she is now. Good work, Sharon.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
I think it's wonderful that you can tell that I have. I'm still working on that part, because I don't have a realization
Good.
of it.
It's all right, but it's still working.
You look different.
You do.
You're, yes. You're very
Calmer. She seems calmer.
You look younger,
Yes.
and you're fine. From the first time?
Okay, we had another one who started, who was saying that he was having trouble sensing pretty much anything with the stocks. I believe the first time you said this, you got 5 out of 5 wrong. Right. Something like that. At that time, when we said that he was having issues, it was about here. Actually, that night it was about there. The night that he stood up and I went over to him to say where he was working from, it was over here. And now he's down there.
It's the chickpeas.
Or guacamole, one or the other. I'm curious, are you sensing anything more? No.
I'm not either.
Karen, if you can get 5 out of 5 wrong all the time, that's spectacular. Let us know what you're doing.
It's consistent.
I've improved now, only 50% wrong, so.
Oh, no, that's the worst.
That's a lot better than 5 out of 5.
Yes. It's headed in the right direction.
It definitely is headed in the right direction. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Let's take 1 minute, just 1 minute on the clock, and let's go back into a practice section of what we would do at our house. So the first thing is, put yourself in that protective sphere, okay? So put yourself in that protective sphere. So, and you'll know you're there because everything around you will get very quiet, very serene. So 3 times, command anything that's within that sphere to leave. 3 times. And be out of it each time. Good. Okay. Now, bring in the energy of God, Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, angels, I don't care, any angelic beings. Let them come through the skull, through the body, through the feet. And while we're doing this, let's bring in that permission with gratitude. So we let it go through us into the earth, back up through heaven and back through us again. So let that continue moving through. So just get that energy moving. That's it. Stay in gratitude. Just stay in gratitude. Can't keep it going. Now at this point, I don't care whether or not we're dealing with lack of acceptance or lack of forgiveness. I'll allow both acceptance and forgiveness to permeate through that energy. Just let it be carried through the body. And it's going to saturate all the tissues of the body. Just let it go through. And as you're doing this work, imagine you're looking at yourself standing in the center of a circle. Okay? And the 3 parts of us, the brain, heart, and spirit, imagine that those 3 areas are getting brighter as this energy is passing through us. Good. Good. Keep it going. A few more seconds. Good. You've raised the energy of the room to 100%. Good job. Good job. Now, stay in that protective circle as I'm talking to you. Let's bring out your money, okay, and put that in your left hand if you're a right-handed person, okay? And if you're a left-handed person, put it in your right hand for balance. Okay, let's go back into the circle. Just for a moment, let's go back into the circle, see the energy through, now holding on to the money, and tell me what the difference is now. Okay. So we'll take one more minute. Do it with the money. Stay in that protective circle, that sphere. Yeah. Keep it going. Just repeat everything we just did. Stay in gratitude. You have appreciation, acceptance, forgiveness. Another 10 seconds. Good. Okay, stay in your circle. What happened when you used the money?
That was amazing.
Amazing.
Well, before we took the money, I was able to really make bright, and I was really, everything was flowing really fast, and then I took the money and went back into it, and it was like all of a sudden I was stuck in mud. And I was trying to go through, and I started speeding it up, but it was like slow motion, and it was like, to try to brighten it up, I got to like 30% of the brightness.
Why do you think that is? Sure.
So this also happened to me. I was having energy and yesterday I realized I think there's some programs I need to run still to get rid of in my head.
Oh, yeah.
My original teacher said, don't use for the future, only use for health, and I need to, the money thing, I need to accept that's okay, I think.
That's exactly correct, Jeff. There's some issues that are going on.
It's even hurting me to just be holding it.
Yeah. Ruthie.
I had a totally different reaction. I felt all of a sudden like a stream of energy and heat go through my left hand and my arm.
Yeah. That's very good. That's where we're going.
I felt power,
Good.
protection
Very
and power, security, like I was fearless.
good. Very good. This mellowed me out. This really balanced both of my sides when I did it. It's a balancing mechanism for me. Okay. Could be anything for you, but I don't want it to slow down your energy. Okay. And remember we said this is our marker. This is our gauge. So if this is going to slow us down, we picked a heck of a gauge to work with. Right? On one hand. On the other hand, you better learn now versus going any further. Okay? So, keep using this. I'm hoping it'll speed up, balance you. You'll feel more energetic, happier, healthier by using this.
So her right hand and put it in the left hand. What is it we're supposed to learn?
What are we supposed to learn? You tell me. What happened to you, Cecile, when you used this? What
Well, I got heavier. I did come back some more in the purpler range than the light.
Okay. So what do you think that means? Pretty much the same thing, right? It's stuck in mud. Purple's good because you're thinking of yourself as being very important, which is good, but heavier is not good.
No.
It's not good.
No, purple to me is spiritual, but heavier is not good.
No, not in this case. Not in this case. But that's good. I'm glad we're using this to gauge where we are with our marker. Jeff.
Now that I'm doing it with my eyes open, it's flowing like crazy. Then I close my eyes and it starts slowing down again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you open your eyes, you're distracted. Okay? When you close your eyes, you're going to your subconscious immediately. Okay? Now, we could have done this with blindfolds. Did you bring your blindfolds?
Are we supposed to?
It was on the email. I didn't go to it because I didn't feel like getting blindfolds. Okay.
So the blindfold will be
Even more.
feel more?
Even better.
Oh, because sometimes I feel like doing that when I'm doing
Yeah.
I always try to look away from the light.
If
I always
you-
in a room, I will always look away because I can see
We should
better.
be doing this with blindfolds.
Oh, thank you.
Let me go on. Let me go on because there's a lot of material I want to get to. Okay, so let's go back to prosperity. Okay? So this is our marker that we've been talking about. From day one, we've been calling where we're going with this whole thing, this whole circle is our independence. It's our liberty. Okay? We're using this because the systems that we're involved in right now, whether it's this country or any place else, they're coming from these two areas, from the brain and heart. Especially in the United States, they're coming from the brain and heart area. So going into this system makes it patently unfair to us. We're the middle class. Now, this system is working well for the very wealthy and the poor. But we're in the middle here. And in this system, it's going to be hard for us to get out of this mechanism of the middle class very easily. So I don't want to be in this system. I don't want to have to be in competition because competition means that someone wins and someone fails. That is never going to work, not for any of us. I don't want to be in competition with anyone out there. I want to be in competition with myself and my relationship to what I call the divine. That's my competition. So I want to get us out of this and into this, because in this system, it is completely 100% fair. Whatever we put into this is what we're going to get out of it. Our enthusiasm, our efforts, our beliefs will be well paid back if you'll continue this process. Well paid back. And this helps us get all of that. This does not help us get all of that. We may get bits and pieces of it, but not everything. Not from this system. Are we clear why I'm pushing in this direction? Okay? In here, in this system, we're all the same. We're all the same in this system. It's beautiful. It's absolutely magnificent. Now, we've been talking about the idea of getting opportunity, which is money, and we've talked about relationships, especially with ourselves, but tonight we're going to go a step further. We're going to go into the idea of health. Now, I get information all the time about health. I get things like lose 60 pounds in 30 days. Okay? I get things like the secret to boundless energy. Okay? And this is the good one right here. Warning, warning. Now you've got to be 21 to read this, but it's about having sexual potency. Since none of us here are 21, we can't read this. Right? We're not that old. So I've got to throw this in the trash can anyway. So I get this junk all the time because there are no miracles. There are no miracles to any of this. This is a full life progress. There is no miracle to any one part of this. There's not a vitamin, there's not a mineral, there's not just one thing that's going to do it. But if we talk about health, we're talking about the fundamentals. Diet, water, exercise, sleep. Those are the fundamentals. Now, if there's any miracle when it comes to the physical part of health, that's it. Now, I want to develop the talent in this room. So we're very fortunate. We have a couple of health coaches here. Danny Gomez, Ruthie, we've got you also. And I've asked them to stand and give us a quick talk, it's about 15 minutes or so, about their concepts of health, because I know they stay healthy and they believe in what they're doing. And Danny's especially a personal trainer, so I would encourage you to really think about hiring him, because I'm going to tell you this. What you're doing tonight is an investment. Your time here is an investment. Your time away from here is an investment. Every part of that time, I hope that you'll use wisely. And part of that is we need to be in the gym. Every one of us should be in the gym at least 3 times a week. At least 3 times a week. To get into this circle. At least that. He's excellent for helping you do that. So Danny, why don't you stand and talk to us, okay? Sure. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you guys. So I'm just going to really briefly tell you how I got into health and wellness. Even though I've been involved in it my whole life, I didn't realize how I wasn't so healthy up until a few years ago. So on a quest to alleviate some chronic joint pain from just injuries and just kind of old injuries that just never, this pain just never went away. It was always with me. So in a quest to get rid of that, and ultimately with Dr. Berman's help as well, I started to understand the importance of nutrition. And while cleaning up my diet and getting, finding awareness in my body, finding out what foods do to me, and having this awareness, making conscious decisions of what I eat and how I put the food in, well, not only did my aches and pains start going away, but my mental clarity improved, my mental focus improved, energy went through the roof, and I'm going to talk about this here in a minute, but when staying in balance, a lot just like what Dr. Berman's talking about here, when in balance in all areas, I noticed not only did the change in the food and cleaning it up also improved my intuition, and I felt a much stronger connection with spirit. Okay, so just briefly, that's what brought me here. Now, speaking in health and the importance of health and the importance of what we put into our mouth and making conscious decisions to be aware of it. And even though I know this group here, we know, I'm assuming that here most people have a pretty decent diet and have a lot of knowledge from Dr. Berman's help. Okay, but at the same token, I know sometimes we get off track. Life circumstances makes us sometimes, we make wrong decisions. And at some point, too, also you have to understand that today we live in such a toxic environment. I mean, You know, even vegetables and fruits, you know, they're loaded with pesticides, fungicides, insecticides, and the list goes on, and then we got GMOs and all this other stuff, and you pretty much have to be a food detective to figure out what's safe and what isn't to eat anymore. So, again, we don't have to give up everything that's good, and we don't have to, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect all the time, but if you can take the time to find out what foods do to you and find out how to have that body awareness, and then you understand, you know, are my foods stressing me out? Are the foods that I'm eating, you know, overloading my nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, is that causing me stress? Okay, because again, we get stressed out, and let me ask you, how many of you guys in here, when you're feeling out of balance in any area, feel like your intuition is just shut down, it's gone? Yeah. Okay, I know for me that's the case. Okay, and so for me this is staying in this circle of balance. So you guys all have this right here. And again, very similar to what Dr. Berman has up here. And so, as you can see, we got our health and we got our exercise, physical activity, and just slivers. We also have our finances, again, right over here. Okay, so any one of these areas out of balance for any one of us could be enough to really shut us down. And so for me personally, I know when I'm in balance, including the foods and all of the above, not only do I have clearer thinking, better intuition, just my energy goes up. My entire body feels stronger. I just can feel the level of strength come up across the board. Okay, so really important. And just like last week, Jeff mentioned we need a system in the stock market. Dr. Berman's teaching us a system how to do this. And that's what I do in my health coach practice, is I teach people how to have a system based on your own unique bio-individual needs. Okay, so every last one of us is different, so there's no cookie-cutter diet. Okay, and basically what might be healthy and nutritious for me could be your poison. It could be, you know, wrong for you because we're all very different and we have different needs. Not only that, but again, many of you guys coming to Dr. Berman are very, very aware that our needs change. Our nutritional needs change constantly. You know, we can overdo good foods as well. Okay, but it's really important to have that understanding, to have a baseline. And that's kind of what we do as health coaches. And in the group, we're actually missing one. Desiree is also a health coach. She's not here tonight. We've got Ruthie, and we've got an inspiring health coach over here, Becky, who's in the same program that Ruthie, Desiree, and myself attended. So real quickly, before I get to questions, I just want to ask Ruthie and Becky, if you guys don't mind, just tell me a little bit about how the food changes and healthy lifestyle is what it's done for you. Miss Ruthie.
I want to come up there so
Yes,
that I don't
please.
give my back to anybody. I can tell you my journey started many, many years ago, before I even knew that it was a journey. And I was studying every book that I could find from the time I was 16 years old. And in my career, I became an engineer, and I was a public works director. But what ended up happening is that my adrenals failed, and I had adrenal fatigue, and I was extremely ill. And so I knew that if I didn't change my life, I wouldn't be here for my kids. And so it was one step at a time, and with the support of a wonderful husband and family, that I was able to make the journey. It is a bio-individual thing. Sometimes we think that, oh, this is healthy, we're going to eat a lot of it. There's got to be a balance. And, you know, the only way you're going to find out what's going to be good for you is if you start becoming aware of it. So one idea is a food journal that ties your emotions. You write down how you feel, so that way if there's something that you take in or an experience that you have, and 2 days later you have a headache, you can go back and see what was it, because it's only you will know what it is. And so it is a journey of one day at a time. I'm still on my journey. And sometimes you may have a list of things that you need to work on, but unless you take the first one first, the other ones aren't going to get help. So it's really important to be able to work with people that will be able to guide you, like Dr. Berman's guiding us, as far as, okay, right now, your adrenals are shot. You need to work on these first, and then we will get to the digestion, and then we will get to the... And so it really becomes a matter of being conscious of what you're doing. The physical activity, I do want to say one thing. A lot of people that we know are out there every single day working out really, really hard. And sometimes they're not giving themselves enough rest. So you got to go back to the basics. You got to go back to the sleep habits, sleep hygiene, You have to go back to your drinking enough fluids. Everything works together, but you're not going to be able to figure out what's going on with you unless you really take note of what you're doing every single day. Is there anything else?
No, that pretty much covers it.
Becky, your turn.
Becky?
Well, I didn't know that I was going to be asked to say.
Just in a nutshell, you know, what has been your experience?
Well, I was a client of Danny's, okay, in 2012. I think I met him at your 60th birthday party, and he sat across from me. And it was a great conversation because I've had, my journey began when I was 12. I just started getting sick all the time with, you know, so I know now that the whole leaky gut thing and the terrible, I mean, I had that as a young kid. I didn't really know it till I met him in 04. It's like, we need to work on your digestion. So sometimes, you know, digestion is like in a bad situation where, you know, the toxins are getting in and your brain fog and the bloating and the, you know, all of that stuff. It's like, what am I doing in my life? I've got, you know, about to marry somebody that it would have been a huge mistake, and so thank God that got derailed. But I said, well, you know, I just can't eat so many foods, it sucks, you know. And he goes, well, but what if you healed your digestion and maybe you can have some ice cream once in a while? And I was like, oh, I'll never be able to have ice cream, Danny. That's just out the door. So I kept your card, what, for like a year and a half, something like that? A long time.
Exactly, but I know it was a while when you called me.
But it was really great because he was like, well, you're kind of a special needs student because I wasn't like, you know, the typical client that you might
In a good
get.
way. I didn't, those are all my words, but she means it in a good way.
But I loved about the bio-individuality because I knew that was true, that I'd see people just eating tons of something that would make me horribly sick, that they're just loving and it would do their body good, and I knew it wouldn't do me good. But the concept of that I could actually have something, whether it's, you know, caloric or sugar laden or whatever, and not make me sick. And I had ice cream at midnight last night, and I am not sick today. So I was like, I know I shouldn't have been doing that, but it has been a stressful time, those of you who know me, what I'm going through, and I just woke up hungry, and I was eating one of these fake gluten-free thing. It had cookies and cream. I was like, what is this? Looked at the back, you know, my fiance brought it. Ingredient list, you know, you do become a food detective when you're really focused on this. And I was like, here's some vanilla ice cream. Just take a few bites of this and be done with it. And it's just a miracle, I think, that I met, you know, Danny, and that we got to work together. I said, well, I want to take this course. And, you know, so finally I took it in May, so I'm graduating in May. But, you know, I do think there are a lot of people that want to be helped, but they don't know how to get the help. And so I'm thinking, how do you earn a living as a health coach? But with all of the obesity and all of this stuff going, you know, the doctors know nothing about nutrition. I just am kind of learning it, enjoying it, and seeing what will happen, as I know Danny is, and I know you guys have been a little bit more established. But, you know, someday I want to be, I think, a health coach. So if anyone needs any help, I can't help anybody now. I'm just a student.
You mentioned the 90-10. Is that something, you know?
Yeah, that's actually, you know, something, you know, I follow, many of us health coaches follow and teach as a 90-10 rule. We're good 90% of the time. 10% of the time we give ourselves a little leeway. We give ourselves some of our comfort foods. But again, to me, 10%, you know, being bad doesn't mean go to McDonald's and pick up, you know, totally processed food. It's just understanding that we can still have our comfort foods. There's a way to make foods tasty, enjoyable. As also, Ida is very good at that, and making very clean, healthy foods that will satisfy our cravings and satisfy. It's like, you know, there's a certain meal that I know I shouldn't be having. There's a way to do it. There's a way that it can be tasty, enjoyable, and it will satisfy us. Okay, so again, doesn't have to be perfect every time. I mean, you can be out celebrating with friends and be vibrating up here in joy, and that can overdo. You know, we just, you know, override some of maybe some of the not so right decisions on the foods. But again, we don't want to go crazy with it. But once you get to that point of awareness, once you understand what your body, you know, what makes your body tick, what's going to set you off. I know I hear a lot of times from friends and families like, how are you so disciplined? It's like, really isn't discipline. In my case, my body starts hurting, and that's, you know, it took me a while. You know, it really took me. I tried, and it's like it finally got to the point where it's like getting hit over the head every single time you eat a certain thing and waking up with a headache. It's like, well, how long do you want to go on having headaches? Well, in my case, it's like I don't want to hurt tomorrow. I got to get up. I want to move. And for me, I'd much rather be active. I enjoy being active. When you take activity away from me, I'm then out of balance. I have, a dent in my wheel here, and that gets me down. Everything starts to fall apart. So going back to what Dr. Berman always talks about, the 4 fundamentals. We need our sleep, our water, our diet, and our exercise. Okay, so any one of those lacking can hinder one of the others. So if we're not sleeping well, that can set off a lot of problems, a lot of issues. It can lead us to cravings. Maybe some people have sugar cravings. Same token, our diet could very be, our diet or lack of nutrition could be the reason we're not sleeping well. Okay, so sure, some of it's stress related. And there's just many things we can't really control in this life. But if we start to make an effort to understand what we're putting in our body, and like I say, it's just really make a conscious decision. And like Becky was saying, you got to read the ingredients. Okay, a lot of people ask me, is this good, and I'm just like, I don't know. Let's look at the ingredients. Okay, so if you don't understand the ingredients and you can't read them, and you need a chemist to tell you what they are, then odds are they don't go in your body. Okay, so we want to recognize the food we're eating. And then, of course, we've got exercise. If you guys look at the top 10 reasons to exercise handout that I gave you guys, and go right to number 7. Okay, so I think everybody in here understands the importance of exercise.